Josh, you mentioned something, or Gabriella, about sponsorship, and I think that's important because it needs to be understood. How does one go through the path of FedRAMP? How do you go from I want to sell my services to the federal government to I can sell the services to the federal government? And is there a step in between? I think I heard RAR or something like that at one point.
RAR.
Can we
Okay, so let me
Josh, you
take
want
this
to
for just
maybe walk us through that a little bit?
sure, happy to. So, FedRAMP is an investment. Taking a product or service and making it FedRAMP compliant, ATO, authorized to operate in the FedRAMP universe, if you will, does cost money. It takes effort and time and money. So how do I know that I can do this and get a contract with it and move forward with it and make money on this whole thing enough to make it to where it's worth this investment? And the answer to that is they made it actually not horribly hard. There's multiple steps in between. You can take your product or service, go through and do obviously you can self-assess against the standard, make sure that you're pretty comfortable that you're ready, and you can do what's known as a FedRAMP ready or a RAR, a readiness assessment. And so what you can do is have a 3POW or a good organization come by and do a FedRAMP ready assessment for you. Are we actually compliant with all of the FedRAMP standards and controls? If the answer is yes, you can be deemed FedRAMP ready. And there's a process for that. I know Gabby's probably like, oh my God, there's more steps to this. But bear with me for a second. I'm trying to make it simple here. And so you can be FedRAMP ready and listed in the marketplace. And that's the important piece. If you are FedRAMP ready, you can be listed in the marketplace. You're not authorized to operate, but that's the place where you can go to a potential sponsor agency and go, hey, you need this service. You've put out a requisition for it. We have the service. If you'd like to sponsor us, we're already FedRAMP ready. It's not going to take much to get us there. Would you like to work with us to get us there? Because we're going to give you the best deal. We're going to do the right thing. We're going to take good care of you, et cetera. And that's the way that you move from we don't know what we're doing to we're authorized to operate. There's a step in the middle there. Gabby, please feel free to elucidate.
Great. So there are two paths to becoming FedRAMP authorized. One is the agency sponsorship process, which we kind of just went over. Essentially, that means you have to be a service that a federal agency is using in a pilot capacity, right, or a testing capacity, or have a relationship established. And that agency has the responsibility to sponsor you through the process, meaning you as a vendor must go through the assessment process. You must have all of your policies and procedures documented. You can do that yourself. You can hire an organization to do that on your behalf. And then you can go through the 3POW independent assessment portion of the process where you have a FedRAMP assessor. They come in, they conduct the assessment against all of the various controls in your baseline, low, moderate, or high, whether you have PII or not. And then they also conduct a pen test, close out the report. That information goes back to your sponsoring agency. And this is why it's important. That agency also has a responsibility to authorize the portion of controls that they are responsible for, whether they are wholeheartedly inherited. They must look at the level of risk they are inheriting from you as a CSP. Whether there are hybrid and shared controls that they have a responsibility to implement, such as account management, a little bit of incident response, right? Making sure that there's notification, meeting all of those minimum standard requirements, or things that they are holistically responsible for. Now, once they complete their authorization package, as well as the independent assessment has been completed, and your FedRAMP authorization package is ready for FedRAMP PMO, the Program Management Office, they conduct a review of the overall package and ensure that it's meeting the federal standards and guidelines. You've implemented all of the critical security controls, and then you can be granted your authorization and post it out on the marketplace. That is the most popular path for organizations to kind of get their foot in the door into the federal government and being a FedRAMP authorized cloud service provider. The secondary path is what you call a JAB authorization. This is the Joint Authorization Board, which is comprised of GSA. We've got a little bit of DoD. I think we've got some DHS/CISA that sit on the board and review packages that go through a very similar process to what I just described. However, these products are typically reviewed. I think only 12 vendors get selected to go through this process per year. It is a little bit more arduous to go through that step because you do have your independent review that's done by your 3PAL, and then you have to go through the kind of waiting game to go through the JAB process, and they serve as the oversight body as opposed to the FedRAMP PMO, and then there is no additional interaction from a sponsoring agency to go through that process. This can take a little bit more time, and typically I would recommend this process is used for those types of products that are a little bit more mature and have a broad spread within the federal government, meaning you have multiple customers to get through that process because you do want to have that large kind of interest in body. So I typically recommend people to go through the sponsorship process or the agency process if you're kind of just getting started and you have a customer that's very interested in using you.